All right, guys. So we are all done with day one of the Wealthy Trustee workshop. We did go through a lot today. So today our primary focus was on customizing and establishing our business trust, you guys. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and open up the floor for any questions that you guys might have. So please raise your hand. Let's dive right into Q&A so that I can answer any and all questions that you might have based off of the information that we went over today. I know that it was a lot of information, okay? So also know that today's session is recorded, and so you can go back to that information at any point in time to be able to like review everything, okay? So with that being said, I'm gonna go to the first hand that I see, which is Kamala. Hey, Kamala.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you? I'm fine. Um, Wonderful, wonderful information. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Wow,
as well. I'm so
you're such a
excited.
blessing to me, and I hope to the rest of us. Um, my
Thank you.
first question, you're welcome. My first question is concerning the EIN number. Um, we have to apply for this, and how do you go about doing that?
That is a wonderful question. So we are going to do that application together. I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. Thank you for asking that question because I do want to let you know that when you apply for the EIN number, the IRS is going to ask you for the responsible party, and they're going to want to identify the responsible party as the grantor. So you're going to need the grantor's information. That's one of the things that they have to do is apply for the EIN. So the only thing that you need from the grantor is their full name and their social security number. Um,
Okay.
and and so when we apply for the EIN, the information that we need is the name of the entity. So I don't want you to worry because we're going to do it together. We're going to do all three EIN applications together during this workshop. But the information that you need so that you can prepare yourself is the name of your entity. You're going to need the name and social of the grantor, the full name of the trustee. You're going to need the address of the trust, the phone number of the trust, the county where the trust is located, your establishment date for the trust. Once you have all that information, then you just have to answer a few questions. The questions are very generic, which is, do you plan on having employees? Are you dealing with, firearms and gambling and stuff like that? So most likely you'll answer no to all questions. They'll have you review the EIN application and then you'll submit it and you'll instantly get your EIN. So we're going to do that together Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can only do one EIN application per day per responsible party. So that's why it's going to take us 3 days in order to apply for the EIN because we're applying for 3 EINs because we're setting up 3 different entities.
Got you, got you. The other question is, do you have to open a brand new account for this entity?
Yes, this is a separate entity from anything that you already have, and it
Hmm.
is gonna have its own account, and you are not going to put yourself in a position to where you're commingling funds, where you're mixing funds from one entity to another. So you're going to have one designated account for the business trust. You're going to have one designated bank account for the family trust. You're going to have one designated bank account for the nonprofit ministry trust, and you're going to operate them separately and separate the funds.
Because at the end of the day, you know, do you have to have what, like my money is coming into a checking account. Once I open this business trust account, can I have my pay stub start going into the account, or that is not recommended?
So it depends on your employer. So some people have decided to, and it depends on if you're W-2 or if you're 1099. If you're 1099,
W-2.
yeah. So if you're 1099, then you can contact the employer and let them know that you want to be paid directly to your business trust. And then you just have to update your W-4 to put the name of the trust, the EIN of the trust, and that you want to be paid that way. If you're W-2, it depends on the employer. Some employers will do it, and it's usually smaller employers. If it's big corporations, they will not do it. They want to pay you directly in your name and your social. And so now then that means that your paycheck will not go directly to the trust, but it will go to your checking account, and then you will manually transfer it to the trust to pay any trust expenses.
So okay, if it goes directly into the bank account, through the employee, if you have a employee that is really a big corporation. So when at the end of the year, can you apply for that form from the bank that your money is coming into them, right? And according to what I understand, there's a form that they use to claim that for at the end of the year for taxes. How can you do that instead of them? If you do you understand the question that I'm asking?
Yes, but I'm not sure of really. So one, I'm going to tell you to contact the bank for the form. That's the first thing
Okay.
once you've established this account. The second thing is that there is misinformation out there on the internet about opening up a certain kind of bank account where you can file a 1099 and receive all of your deposits times 10. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but I haven't seen that process be effective, meaning I haven't seen
Yeah.
anyone receive those deposits.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you. All right, next we have Miss Alania Bay. Hey, Miss Bay, how are you?
Doing?
I'm
How are
good.
you?
I'm wonderful, Miss Bay. How are you, beautiful?
I'm trying to not trying to make it, my baby. I'm just, I'm a little bit in pain, but this too shall pass. I found out I had a pinched nerve in my back, so that's what's causing a lot of problems. But the question that I wanted to ask you is, have you ever heard of a Massachusetts trust?
Yeah, I have. I mean, yeah, yes, I have. I've heard of the
What
Massachusetts.
is the difference between that and a U-bot? Is it the same?
It's very similar. Yeah, it's the same. So a Massachusetts trust is an unincorporated business trust. So it's pretty much the same thing. They just have different names for it. So
Okay.
it's still like non-statutory, it's still complex, it's still an express trust, it's still operating under common law jurisdiction.
Okay, okay. I was just curious because I'm in this group the Predator Academy, and they're teaching different aspects of the business trust, which is the Massachusetts trust that they use. And I was just wondering what was the difference, because I told them I already had my trust done. But I just was asking you guys what, if you had ever heard of it. And another question I had was the promissory notes. Um, I noticed one of the promissory notes had that I think it's a balloon rate, a balloon, something about a balloon rate. Can I take that out? Because a balloon rate, the last time I remember, they charge skyrocketing interest on that, don't they?
Yeah, so inside of the promissory note, it says that you can make a balloon payment, meaning that you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to make small incremental payments, you can just make one lump sum. So that's what that means inside of that form.
Okay, and if you like, for instance, the promissory note, they said the lender, let me see, it says the promises to pay to the order of Truist Bank. Is that correct? Would that pay to the order would go to be the bank, or would that be the trust?
So the lender, so whoever So whoever is providing the funds, so if
That would
Truist
be
Bank
true.
is lending the funds, then you would do Truist Bank. If it's a person or if it's another entity like an LLC, then you would do the entity name.
Okay, so once you borrow this money from the promissory note for the trust, um, the trust is paying for this, or is it coming out of our pockets? How does that work?
No,
I'm
it's
still
oh, yeah, everything
I'm
comes
still
out of everything comes
out
out
of
of the
the.
trust.
Okay, so if you don't have any money in the trust, how could it come out the trust? Is that what the promissory note is for? To
Yeah,
start
so
funding?
so in the beginning you have to fund the trust. You have to put money into the trust.
I funded it, like you said, 100, but I mean, for the promissory note, I was just wondering how that works. Once they give you the money, then the interest accrues, and then eventually it's paid back to the trust. Is that how that works, or how does it work?
Yes, so if you're getting the money from the bank, then those funds are going to go to the trust. And then you'll be able
Oh,
to work those funds however you see fit in different
uh-huh.
investments so that funds can grow, and then you
Right.
pay back the bank.
Okay. All right. I just was trying to figure out how that works. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
congratulations on all you're doing. I've been swamped with paperwork. So please forgive me if I haven't seen you in a while, but when I see you, I try to share you because you're amazing. So I just wanted to let you know I've been just busy like that.
Thank you so much, Miss Bay. I always appreciate you coming into the workshops and just being a
That
sunshine of light. Yeah,
light.
be that
I
light.
got you.
Thank you, Miss
Yes,
Bay.
ma'am.
All
All right, my
right,
darling. You take care of yourself, okay?
you too. All right,
Oh,
next week.
one more thing. One more thing I forgot to tell you. I had went through Mr. Dorsey and to check my credit. I fixed it, but I told him that it was, taken care of and everything was off, but I hadn't heard from him since. I put him on Instagram, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he forgot about me.
Oh, okay, okay. Do you have his email? I can give you his email address. You have his email
No,
address?
I don't. Can you give it to me?
Yes, I'm gonna text it to you. Okay.
Okay, okay, that'll work. Thank you
Okay.
very
Awesome.
much. Appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. All right,
Mm.
next we have Keith. Hi, Keith. How are you? Hi,
Hey,
Keith.
Christina.
Hey, hey, hey. What's up? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? I know you sleep good at night after doing all this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, we appreciate you, man. It takes a lot of effort to just sit down and break all this stuff down, and you're gonna do it 5 days in a row. I just want
Yeah,
to say thank you. I'm
you're
sure
so
everybody
welcome.
feels the same way.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here. I appreciate you being here and signing up for the workshop. And we're doing the time together, so we might
Yeah.
as well make the best of it.
Yeah. I'm at that, like explained to you, I'm at the W-2, so boy, I mean, you got to fight for your freedom.
Yeah,
So
that's the truth.
yeah, man, I'm playing it off and all kind of stuff. Hoodie on, all kind of things going on here. But yeah, I had some questions too because I just got some LLCs, some businesses, and the holdings is in the name of those businesses, and somehow they're tied to Wyoming. And I wanted to know if I can keep those same businesses. I got the EIN and all of that stuff, but I don't think I've had it tied to a the business and the business trust or anything like that yet. Is that going to be an issue?
Um, so it's not an issue. You can keep your LLCs. They're going to remain intact. So there's nothing that you have to do differently with the LLCs. All you have to do is just update the Secretary of States in Wyoming to remove yourself as the authorized member of those LLCs and add the trust as the authorized member. So I'll show you how to do that on Friday. So it's just a bit of updating, but those LLCs that you have in Wyoming, you want to list them inside of the business trust as an asset.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. If you can walk me through that, and that'll be a
Yeah,
great help.
absolutely. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it together. We're gonna do it together
Right.
on Friday.
Right on. I had another question too. Do you know anything? I don't know if a sister just before me seemed like she might have kind of touched on it a little bit, but I was concerned or had questions about debt discharge or debt contracts or something like that. Do you know much about that or well, I'll
Yeah,
leave it at that for now.
so it's something that you can do with your trust, but it's not something that I teach on.
Okay.
So there are other organizations that teach you how to do, debt eliminations with 1099s, A, B, C, stuff like that. So it's not
Okay.
something that I talk about.
I got you. It's not your area of expertise. Okay,
All right.
cool. Right now, I don't have any more questions, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome, Keith. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you so much for being here. Awesome. All right, next we have MB.
Hi, Christine. I had a couple questions in reference to I have a foreign trust. Could I utilize that with this process or not?
Yeah,
No.
you can. You can definitely incorporate your foreign trust.
Okay, because I have a 98 number and it's under my name.
Mm-hmm.
And the other question is what you just answered the one, the Florida. Uh, I have a company in the state of Florida that you just answered that one with Key. Um, Now, I have a vehicle, a 2020 Toyota uh, Tacoma.
Yep.
Now, it's not a commercial, but you indicated in one of the sessions that I attended, your initial session with me, that we can convert, I think it was converted over to the business trust. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, so if you use that vehicle for like business purposes, or if you just want to be able to write things off associated with the
Yeah,
vehicle, like people use a vehicle to commute for their business, then absolutely. So go ahead and put that under the business trust as an asset.
okay. And the other thing is, I do have
One
some,
thing I want to mention is that you do have to have the title of that vehicle, okay? So we're gonna go through all of that on Friday, but you do need the title in order to transfer the title into the trust. So if you have payments, then it's not going to work unless you refinance that loan.
okay, okay, understood. Uh, I do have payments on that. Um, and the last question I have is reference to timeshare property. I should not put that under a trust at all, if I'm not mistaken.
So, for the timeshare property, you have to contact that company to see what their rules are. But, some timeshares can be put under an entity, so it is possible, but I would tell you to contact the company for the timeshare.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate all that you have provided us today.
Thank you so much, MB. I appreciate you too. Thank you for being here. You're awesome. All right. Next we have Miss Crystal Combs. How are you?
Challenged but well. Thank you so very much for everything that you do.
Oh, thank you so much. So glad to see you.
Glad to see you too. I get a W-2 from the federal government. What, how would I put that in a trust? Would it go in a business trust or would it go in my personal trust?
So it depends, right? So that the income that you're putting in, it depends on if you want to lend those funds to your business trust or your family trust, or if you want to donate those funds to your nonprofit and be able to do a tax deduction. So for W-2 employees, what I recommend is that you start off with the donation so that you can donate up to 60% of your salary. So you'll do donation receipts after you're done setting up your ministry trust, and then 60% of that income will go to the ministry trust. And then those other funds, you can allocate it to the business trust or the family trust, but most likely it'll go to the family trust if you have immediate expenses for the assets that you're putting in that trust. So for example, let's just say you have a house, then that house you put into your family trust. You need to be able to pay the mortgage for that house. So that W-2 income, you're gonna transfer it from your personal account into the family trust account, and then you'll be able to pay that mortgage or those utilities. So that's how it'll work.
Okay, so you just talked about the business trust today, so.
We haven't gone through the other two trusts yet, so
Okay,
we'll do that Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Thursday we could touch back on this topic.
okay, I have a rental property and I have an EIN for another business, for my travel business that I've always had since I've had the travel business. Do I need an EIN for the rental property?
No, so the rental property, is it owned by who's the owner?
I'm the owner.
Okay. So you don't need an EIN for that particular property. So that particular property, you want to transfer it into the business trust, and the business trust already has an EIN. So you're fine. It's the entity that owns the property that needs the EIN.
Okay. I'm still a little bit confused about that, but I have to go back and review what we talked about today. 'Cause
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't
but
have a property.
we haven't done EINs as of yet. So all the dots are gonna start to connect once you actually see the process, okay?
Okay. And I guess this connects with I was hearing someone ask about the LLC. For the rental property, do I need to change what I'm doing now to a LLC?
So you don't need an LLC if you don't have it. So, okay, so you don't need an LLC for your rental property. Ultimately, what you want is for your rental property to be owned by the business trust. Why? Because that rental property can be considered a business, right? Real estate investing. And you want to put it into the business trust because it's going to be protected. If you create an LLC, you do not want the LLC to directly own the rental property, because the rental property will end up in probate because it's owned by an LLC. So you need that property to be owned directly by a trust. Now, some people like to be strategic and they'll have the LLC be the manager of the property, and this is if they already have an LLC. The LLC will be the manager of the property and the trust will be the owner of the property. But that's just one strategy of many. In your particular situation, because you don't have an LLC for that property, just put it under the business trust so it's protected. and that rental income will go into the business trust.
Thank you. And when will the, how soon will the, video for today be available?
An hour after.
Okay,
After we press end, and now after we press end, an hour after is when we upload it.
thank you so much. So grateful.
You're so welcome. All right, next we have Nia. Hey Nia, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. I finally got in here, but I have a few questions.
Okay.
Section 13K, in Section 13K, you're
Okay.
talking about K3. Um, you spoke about like the distribution of the funds, let's say to a beneficiary, and like you could put like age 21, 20, 18, whatever the case is. Could it be broken down in a way? And you also spoke about breaking it down in like percentages, like 50% has to be allocated to X, 50% have to be allocated to Y. Can it be broken down in a way where it's like, let's say I wanted to do from age 10, they get $1,000 a month so that they could allocate that to entrepreneurship at an early age, and then like increase it slowly over the years? Could it be broken down in that way?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can customize it any way that you want. Yeah. So if you want to do age brackets, you can. And I see a lot of people do it that way. So just like what you're saying, from 0 to 10 is this, from 10 to 20 is this, from 20 on, it's whatever they want. So yeah, you can do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, my next question is um the postal address, right? So once you get your postal address for your trust, do you change the postal address for the LLC as well to the same postal address as the trust that is owned by the trust?
No, you don't have to. So, the LLC is gonna have a separate address from the trust, okay?
Okay.
So just because you have an iPostal address for the trust, it's not automatically, going to work for the LLC. So you have to have a separate address. So if you're using, like your home address for your LLC, I would tell you to stop doing that. And to get a new address for the trust if you need to do that.
Okay, perfect. Now, the next one. So other people ask questions about like their, payment from their job, their salaries, etc. So if I was I'm a caregiver for my father. It's just a suggestion. I guess I could put it in either one, the business or the family. But like if I'm getting paid from the VA for being my father's caregiver, would it be, I guess, smart to put that money into a trust?
Yes, so are you able to make changes to where the VA will pay your business trust directly?
I can speak to the person that I'm in contact with and ask them that. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I will tell you first, find out if they're able to do that to where you can change the W-4 and now they could pay the trust directly for your services, for your caregiving services.
Okay. You know what? I did see when I was signing up that they had like a business, like if I had a caregiving business, then I could do that. But I didn't actually set up a caregiving business, so I guess I could look into that.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and so you can actually use the business trust for that specific purpose. And you can set it up that way to where the business trust can get paid for the services that you're rendering.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Nia. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you. And I actually have to go. So have a good day, everybody. And thank you all for being here too, because you guys are doing great.
Thank you so much. You have a blessed day. All right, next we have Miss Angelique. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you, beautiful lady?
I'm good. Thank you. This was so informative.
Thank
So I do have a few questions. So,
you.
piggybacking on the previous lady asking questions about already having her LLC. So I recently, upon trying to start my business right now, about a month ago, opened up a business account, a checking and savings in a business account name, and I got the virtual address already. So do I need to do that again for a different address, a different virtual address, a different bank account for the trust?
Yeah,
Even though I just did it. Okay.
yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so the entity that you just did all of this stuff for, what type of entity is that? Is that an LLC?
It's an LLC.
Okay.
And so I thought I probably did it too fast. I probably should have did this first. But yeah, I opened up the bank account, business bank account. I got the EIN for the LLC. I got the virtual address, the 800 number. I did all of that stuff. So do I need a new because you said we need a different bank account for each trust. So could the one I just opened up be the one for the business? Because that was my intent for it to be a business. And I already talked to the bank and told them that I was planning on starting a trust, but I didn't know anything about it. I just knew I was supposed to do that. And I said, I'm gonna get a trust. What do I do? She said, once you get your trust set up, you just come and let us know and we'll put this business bank account into your trust. Is that
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's right to a certain degree, but this is what I need you to understand. Your business, which is your LLC, is a separate entity from the business trust. Okay, so
Okay.
because they're separate entities, you got to look at them as like separate humans, right?
Okay.
And so because it's in its own individual, it needs its own things. So it needs its own bank account, it needs its own address, it needs its own phone number, all of that stuff, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is your your LLC is an asset. That asset can be placed inside of your business trust, okay? And
Okay.
so now the business trust is going to own the LLC. Now that the business trust owns the LLC, you go back to the bank and you let them know that the owner of the LLC is a business trust. They're going to update the banking information. And that business bank account, the business trust can be the beneficiary of that account. So they'll put the business trust as the beneficiary so that, if anything happens, those funds from that LLC will go to the business trust. So those are the next steps that you would have to take. But yes, the business trust does need its own stuff, just like how you just set up everything for the LLC. Now you're gonna have to set up everything for the business trust. It's separate from the LLC, even though it's going to own the LLC.
Okay. Okay. And we need one person's social security number for the EIN the grantor for tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not, we're not gonna do it tomorrow. We're gonna do it Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And so you can use the
Okay.
same for all three of your trusts. and we'll just do one application per day.
Okay, so but just one social security number. That's the hard part. I'm like, oh, can I get your? Nobody wants to give out their social security number.
I know. I
Okay,
know.
what other so and another question, when we have our board meeting, we talk about any changes or anything we're putting in or any minutes. I'm not sure, how does that go? I know you said you could do it virtually or you could do it in person. You do it in timely manner, yearly or by
Yeah.
yearly. But so we were getting together to talk about something. We need minutes to show. We write something down and just place it into the into where where does it go?
Yeah, it's a document. So, we have templates that are provided for you. So
Okay.
inside of the program, when you go to resources, you go to board meeting templates, and it's just a
Okay.
document where all you're going to do is you're going to document the name of the trust that you're conducting a meeting for, who attended the meeting, the date, the time, the location of the meeting, the time that you're starting the meeting, the time that you're ending the meeting, what is being discussed, meaning the topic of the meeting. So let's just say you're
Mhm.
discussing, buying a house. And then you're going to have the meeting minutes, which is the different things that were discussed during the meeting. So you'll go ahead and document those sections, which are meeting minutes. After you're done, you'll save a virtual copy of it, but you'll print it out, you'll sign it, and you'll add it to your trust book. On Thursday, we are going to have a meeting together. So I'm going to show you step by step how to
Okay.
conduct a meeting.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. And one other question. So you said if we have a minimum of 3 people for members. So if I do my grantor, I'll be the major trustee, and then I have a secondary trustee, and then I have a protector. So can the 2 trustees be also the secretary and the treasurer?
So the grantor cannot be in the board. So the board would be those 2 trustees. So you're
The
gonna
two
have,
trustees and the protector. Would
yeah.
that make it 3?
So no, the protector is not a part of the board.
So make it 3. So we need one more person,
So-
huh?
Yeah, so if you want that protector to just be a board member for now, because the board member is a position that you absolutely need, but the protector is not.
Successor. Successor. Can
Oh,
the successor be the third person? The third
no,
board member?
no,
Oh,
no, no, no.
dang.
So
I can't get it.
yeah. So the successor is just going to be, the success, just they're going to be in a dormant position, just waiting to take power when you step down. So now you ask if the trustee can be the secretary. So you're gonna automatically have those secretarial duties if you don't have a secretary. So you don't have to appoint yourself as a secretary. You just need to know that you have those duties.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The secretarial and the trust and the trust and the financing too,
Yeah,
right?
the treasurer. So
The
you just,
treasury.
yeah, so if a part of your board, if you have these 2 trustees, then that's your position. Your position is a trustee in the board of trustees. So it's not just because there's a bunch of positions like a general manager, a treasurer, doesn't mean that you have to fill them, right? So it
Okay.
doesn't mean you have to fill them with your name. they could remain vacant.
But it gotta be three. What's my third? How do I feel that third? What's important
Well,
to
so
make that third?
yeah, so you want to find somebody to be the third, and then most likely they'll benefit from serving as a secretary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
those other
Mm,
positions just remain vacant.
okay. All right. That's everything for me. Yep, that's everything.
Okay.
And I know some of these questions will be answered later when we keep on going. So, like you said, I know it'll start connecting the dots. So,
Yeah,
thank you
it
so
will.
much.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, by the end of the workshop, like you're gonna really understand it. You're gonna see the bigger picture. So just
Okay.
hang in there, and I'm glad that you are here in the workshop. So let's just, keep going. So thank you, Angelique.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. All right, next we have Olu.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Well, thanks for the class. I'm glad to be here. I would say that this class is one of the few classes that most of the things you're talking about I've already been doing, but from the outside looking in. So I'm looking forward to applying this strategy into what I'm already doing. Um,
Perfect.
my first question is both the business, family, and I guess tax exempt trust. Um, who are the parties in them? I know the business trust, the trustee is me, and the family trust and the not tax exempt trust. Who are the trustees and who are the beneficiaries?
So
If you do not desire your children to be the beneficiaries outright.
So that's a good question. So for the family trust, generally people will place their children. If you don't want your children, then what we recommend is for you to create a separate trust for that child, and you have your child's trust be the beneficiary of your family trust.
Okay.
So that's generally what we do. So the beneficiary for the business trust is an entity, and then usually the beneficiary for the family trust are your children or your next of kin. And then the beneficiary of the nonprofit cannot be a human. So it has to be another entity. So that could be a charitable organization, it could be a corporation, it could be another trust. The
Okay.
trustee, you can be the trustee for all three trusts. These are separate entities, and so you're going to appoint yourself. And then the grantor can serve in the same capacity for all three trusts as well.
Okay, I get you. Well, thanks for that. Secondly, like I said, this one puts everything together. So I conceptually do not need an LLC to do these three.
Correct.
So for me that have been through it spanning almost 10 years, I have a 98 number and all these different numbers and a couple of LLCs that I did not even use. Is it advisable to just die those down and just stick with something that's already working till I may need it? Or should I just strategize and figure out how to use the LLCs? What is your opinion on that?
That's a really good question, and it will all come together for you by the end of the week, especially
Hmm.
when we talk more on Thursday and Friday. So what I recommend is if you already have these existing LLCs, use them for funding purposes. It's much easier to get funding for an LLC than it is for a trust. Why? Because it's a statutory entity. They can easily, look up your LLC on the Secretary of State's website. So if you already have the entity, go ahead and get funding for it. Once you get funding for it, then you can use those funds, you can transfer them to the business trust, and then you can acquire assets with them. So that would be the most advantageous thing for you to do for your existing LLCs that you're not conducting business with.
Okay, okay. Lastly, I might need a consult to see how I can use my RN license since you are a nurse. But that's it for me.
Yes, I have been a nurse since 2013. I absolutely love it, but I haven't worked in a hospital since 2020. But yeah, we could talk about that offline.
All right,
Awesome.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Olu. All right, next we have Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
Hi there, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing really good, Miss Cheryl. It's a pleasure to hear your voice.
Yes, I hope everyone had a blessed holiday, but most of all, I want to thank you for what you've done as far as my trust is concerned. I am at
Yeah.
the end of it, and I just wanted to holler at you and tell you thank you. And please, please reach out so I can finish my bank transaction. I have this week to complete it. So if you would
Okay.
do that, I would greatly appreciate it soon, soon, soon. But
Okay.
also, I was
Miss
wondering,
Cheryl.
huh?
Listen, I was in Nigeria last week, so I got a
I
little lost.
know,
I
I
got a
know,
little, but I'm back.
I know. That's why I said,
Yeah, so
please, please,
but
please
thank
reach
you
out.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your patience. So I am definitely going to call you, my dear, so that I can help you finalize the banking aspect of you getting your accounts, okay?
Yes, and listening again is I'm always hearing. I've done this maybe 3 or 4 times, and every time I listen, I hear something new or
Something new.
something
I know
different. So I
everybody says
thank you
that.
for that.
You're
And every now and
welcome.
then I'll pop in and I'll pop out, depending on how the day is going. You know, I got a crazy day, but I
Yeah,
do try to get it. But thank you again for all you've done. I'm not gonna keep.
you're so
Thank
welcome,
you
Miss
so
Brown.
much.
Yes, you're so
Don't
welcome.
forget me. Don't forget
I
me.
won't. I won't. I promise. I promise.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna be transparent with everybody, like on the call. I went to Nigeria and I was there for like about 8 days. And when I got back, the jet lag was so bad that I slept like 2 days straight. I just couldn't handle like being awake. It was really interesting. But Nigeria was fun. I'm like really big into traveling. So I still actually feel a little bit jet lagged right now. So if you guys see me that I look a little like, like low energy, is because Nigeria sucked all the energy out of my body. But but I am getting reacclimated back to America. So anyways, thank you so much. But Miss Cheryl, what I want to tell you is I am gonna call you as soon as I'm done with this workshop, just so that I could help you finish what you need to finish. So thank you so much for being here. And I
Thank
like
you. No, thank you.
yeah, I like the point that she brought up, which is you have lifetime access to the workshop. So she just let you guys know that she's been in these workshops for 3 or 4 times already. And so every time that she comes back and she listens, she hears something new and different. And the reason being is because we have different people that come in and they experience the workshop and they're fully participating. They ask good questions. They ask questions that we didn't even know that we wanted to know. And so it's always going to be a different experience, even though it's like the same, structure and information. So thank you so much. And you guys have lifetime access. So come back in January, February, March, April, keep coming back because it's going to help with retention of the information that we're going over. It's a lot. It's dense. It's a lot. So just keep coming on because you're going to get to the point where it becomes familiar and second nature and you go, regurgitate stuff. So
Bye
anyway,
for now.
yeah, so thank you. I'm gonna go to the next person, which is Aset. Hey, Aset, how are you?
Hey there.
Hi, how are you?
And yourself. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. I love your hair. It's so pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, I have a few questions.
Okay,
And pardon
perfect.
me if I happen to say something that was, ask a question that was already said. But I'm going to start, and you can just give me a quick response because I'm sure they're going to be real quick. So the first one, it says, what is a good payment for like a general manager or something like that when you do ask them to come and do these different minutes? What's a logical payment?
Oh, okay. So for me, what I do is, a lot of the tasks that I need, I will, um, I will budget it just depending on what the income of the trust is. Okay. And so based on the income of the trust, you can you can either hire someone for like on a project basis. So they'll be able to give you like 10 and some what we call it like fractionalized. And so they'll give you like 10 hours a week, or they'll give you 10 hours a month, just depending on what you need. So for me, what I found is with a general manager, usually it depends. Like $1,000 a month would be something feasible if they were to give you like 5 hours a week or something like that. For like a treasurer, $500 a month for like, I don't know, 1 hour a week, something like that. Um, and then initially too is you also can find people that are willing to, help you for like a different form of compensation too, right? Like if they wanted to, I have somebody right now that they're gonna be staying in trust property, and it's going to be for a different form of compensation, which is they're gonna be a caretaker. So they get to stay in in trust property complimentary, but they're gonna serve as the capacity of a caretaker to maintain the building.
I see, I see, I see. That's pretty cool. Okay. So another question is, like one of the previous questioners that asked, well, she mentioned that it's not easy trying to get somebody social. So I would like to kind of like know what are some kind of cool perks and incentives you can give to them to make them see that it's safe, it's okay, you're not going to be needed like that. It's not, they're not relinquishing anything that's, that can be detrimental against them. How can you approach them and let them know? Because I did tell somebody about it, they're open to it, but then I forgot about the social part. So that's kind of like a curveball to them. How can you get them to realize that it's not going to be harmful to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first thing is people are not comfortable with giving out their social. That's obvious. So when it comes to them having to apply for the EIN, I would tell you
Have them to do it.
to have them do it themselves. Yeah, I'm trying to get it all out. So to have them do it themselves, because it'll help them be, more comfortable. And so I see it all the time, and I do it too all the time. If somebody asks me to be their grantor, I will apply for the EIN for them, right? So that's the first thing that you can do. The second thing that you can do is inside of the resources, there is a form that lists the grantor duties. And so I would share that document with them to let them know, hey, I would like you to be my grantor. Here are what the grantor duties are. So that you can become familiar with, what is required of you as a grantor, which is them notarizing the trust and, applying for the EIN. So those are like the first two things that I would do. The last thing is choose someone who's close enough to where they're like, okay, I don't mind, versus someone who is more, distant or estranged, and then they just give you a flat out no. So just be mindful of, who you choose to.
In regards to that, can a grantor be in another state? And
Yes.
is it possible for them to have the notary portion
Yeah.
done on their end, and then so it has to be
Yeah.
done a couple of times, like not a couple of times, but they don't have to be there. We don't have to
Correct.
be. Okay.
Yeah, correct. So
Well,
your grantor can be in another state, and what you'll do is you'll either ship them or email them your trust documents. So the ones that need to be notarized, the pages that need to be notarized, they'll print it, they'll notarize it, they'll ship it back to you. Then once you receive it, you'll notarize your signature. So in a sense, there'll be 2 seals on there.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't know if you can quickly go back to section F. F3. I don't know which section it is. I was trying to catch up. Yeah, F3, and then also 12B. I kind of like wanted to.
But what number? Because
sorry.
it has to be like, is it section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Like you saying F of what?
I'm not even much gonna lie, because I was trying to play catch up. 12B is the same thing, so I didn't get true detail. I have to go back and look into it. How are TCUs acquired? So when you establish that, say that these go to these beneficiaries, how do you get them? Is it like a trust, like a corporate book where there are shares in the back somewhere? And
So
there,
you can create the actual certificates yourself.
okay.
So yeah, so you can create the certificates, and on there you can put how many TCUs you are distributing. So like a certificate for like, like a school or something like that. So like I see, and we've created our own too. So we created ours on Canva. So yeah, so you can just create how many TCUs are gonna go to the actual person. And eventually what we'll do is we'll have like a template for you guys, so you could just plug it in. But it's just, a one form where it says trust certificate units, and you put the number of units, and then you put the person's name. And
And then
you could hold on to it, or you can give it to them. So it's up to you if you want to keep it in trust documents, in trust records, or if you want to issue it to them so that they can hold on to it.
okay. I think you probably answered this already, but my question was, how do you make an asset an asset?
Mm-hmm.
A potential asset, an asset.
Okay. So if you have an asset,
So you just put it on the schedules.
yeah, you put it on the Schedule B, you list it there on the Schedule B.
So what if
Yeah.
it was jewelry? Do you take something like an appraisal and then you put that in there?
So you'll go ahead and list it as jewelry. You'll name the type of jewelry it is, if it's a diamond ring, if it's a Rolex watch, if you have an identification number associated with it. And then you'll have a personal property form that you're going to add to your trust documents, that's saying that that is personal property that you are now putting inside of the trust.
Okay. Now I am a veteran, so I have a VA loan that's unpaid, that's not finished off. Can that be put into a trust or no, since it's not paid off?
So the VA loan, is that like a student loan or a mortgage?
Home loan.
Okay. So, no. So you could put the house has nothing to do with the loan, even though the loan is, on the house. So the asset is the home.
Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Right, so the home you can put into the house even though you have a VA loan, and even though that you have an outstanding mortgage, you have mortgage payments, all that stuff. None of that matters. Because the asset, you still own the asset, right? So you still own that house. You can put that house into the trust, and now the trust is gonna own that house. Your VA loan is gonna remain intact. And now it's gonna be the responsibility of the trust to make sure that those VA loan payments are made because the asset belongs to the trust.
Oh, I see, I see, I see. So when it comes to refi, or like say, if it, yeah, with refi, would there be any kind of conflict of interest, knowing that the beneficiary is not the applicant, the original applicant? How does that interfere with anything?
So it depends on the bank or the financial institution when it comes to refinancing. So it depends on them if they're going to even approve the refinance with the trust. So sometimes it's better to just do those specific loans in your personal. So for you, you have to understand that the person that has the VA benefits is you, is not the trust. So it might be a situation where you have to do the refinance. And so I've seen it to where if you wanted to refinance, then you would have to take the trust out of take the home out of the trust, refinance, and then put it back.
So it's irrevocable. Can you do that?
Yeah, you can. So you as the trustee can do that. Remember, the irrevocability only belongs to the grantor. The grantor has irrevocability. You can dispose of the asset any way you deem.
Gotcha.
Did we lose her?
Yeah, I think we lost her. She'll come back in.
I hope she can come back on.
Yeah, this is her, she'll be able to come back in.
Find your favorite TV shows on YouTube. Get Paramount Plus, Stars, MGM Plus, and more on YouTube.
Hey guys, I lost internet. Are you guys still there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. All right, so sorry about that. I don't know, my internet is unstable at the moment. But as said, I'm sorry, like it froze and I got disconnected right in the middle of me answering the question. You're still on mute. I can't hear you.
Okay, cool. All right. I can't, I don't want to say I can't remember, but it's going to have to trigger me back, but it's okay. So there was a space where you said, how do benefits, if a benefit, the beneficiaries, if the trust expires, and how do the child or the beneficiary receive it? I guess that's if things don't go right and something expires, I forgot how you said it, but is a way where it would have to be dissolved. So how would they, without the trustees, how can the beneficiaries receive something that's kind of like poofed?
Okay, so okay, there has to be a trustee. Okay, that's why you are going to name someone as your successor. So there always has to be a trustee. If there's no trustee, then the trust is inoperable. Now, if the trust is expired, meaning it's poof, right? It's done, it's expired. Whoever the trustee is that's currently the trustee during the expiration, it's their responsibility to transfer assets. Why? Because the trust no longer exists. It expired. It's done. It died. And so the trust, because it died, it can't own anything anymore. It's dead. Right. And so if you have that house in the trust, it's up to the trustee to be able to transfer that house from that trust into whoever the beneficiary is, into your son, your daughter. So that's what has to happen at that time.
Okay. I got it. 3 more quick questions. Okay. The other one is, can you be looked up if you are the trustee, the first trust, and then you have to take on all those other duties, such as the treasurer and things like that? Can it, if this stuff is listed, can it still be looked upon from the state?
Okay, so your trust is a private entity. You're not going to register it with the state. You're not going to register it with the company. So nobody's going to know who the trustee is unless you disclose. Nobody's going to know who the beneficiary is unless you disclose it. So remember, your trust, you got 50 pages. You're not going to upload that or register that anywhere. So that's for your eyes only.
Okay, not even the schedules, none of that stuff is.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Now, what would a revocable trust be good for? Since a trust is meant to tuck stuff away, what is a revocable trust good for?
Uh, oh, so the revocable trust, see, the revocable trust, it has its own, its own benefits, right? And so the revocable trust is if somebody wants to serve as the grantor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. And so they want to set up the trust basically for the benefit of themselves. With the revocable trust, it's seen as your alter ego. So it's seen as pretty much as you. Okay. So in people's mind, when the way that an irrevocable trust is designed is if I'm going to go set up an irrevocable trust, then I'm going to be the grantor, and it means that I have no power, no control, and I'm locked out of the trust, right? That's the way that it is designed. So for a revocable trust, that's if you want to maintain the power and the control, right? But then you also want to be the grantor and you also want to be the beneficiary. You want to be all of the things, right? So with that type of trust, the only issue is that your assets are not protected because you're everything.
Right.
So they will sue you. One, they can take your assets. Two, a revocable trust can end up in probate. So that's the only thing. So that's why people go the route of revocable, because they're like, oh, I still want to be able to have the power, the control, and I want to set up this trust, right? But they don't do it the way that we strategically do it. So we do it to where we're setting up the best type of trust, which is an irrevocable, but we're not listing ourselves as the grantor, we're listing ourselves as the trustee. So
You still
it
have all
just,
the power.
yeah. So it just depends on how you set it up.
Okay. What are some of the positions that can be fulfilled? One of the women had asked about that. So you have all these different positions, and I know people probably want to structure that stuff properly as they go further into being more proficient with it. So what are a few positions? I know treasurer is one, secretary, general manager, stuff like that.
Yeah, you have caretaker, you have steward,
Okay, it's
and then
all
you
those
have
listed in there.
everything that's
Okay.
listed in there.
Okay. And my last question is, I think I asked them all. Okay, I'm fair, I'm good. Well, thank you very kindly.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much, Lisette. All right, next
Thank
we're
you.
gonna go to Michelle. Michelle, are you there? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Michelle, are you available? If not, we're gonna go to the next person.
Trying to access her microphone in the chat.
Okay. Let's see, she's coming back in, it looks like. Michelle, are you available?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was having issues with my microphone, sorry. I have a few questions. Does the Republic have to be the state you live in, or can you choose any?
You can choose any state.
Okay, should your virtual mailbox be in that state as well?
Yes.
Okay. And jurisdiction-wise, is there any significance to what state should be chosen, like for a specific type of trust?
So, you are operating under the common law jurisdiction, and it's a non-statutory trust that you're establishing. So the state doesn't matter. Some people, they get a little they want that extra sense of security, and so they'll still choose a state that has that are more favorable for trust. So generally, those two states like Wyoming and South Dakota, because their statutory laws are more favorable for trust.
Okay. And I'm guessing the BOI filings are like, you don't have to file those.
A trust doesn't have to file it.
Okay, and one more question. Sorry. Can my grantor serve as secretary?
No, the grantor can't be anything but the grantor.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Michelle. All right, next we have Nasir. You are on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. How
Hello?
are you?
Okay, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Really quick question here. If you already have a trust that has been written, can you rewrite it yourself? Like
So,
meaning that I had a law firm to do one for me, and I really wasn't really happy with the outcome of it, so I really want to prefer to do it myself.
okay, absolutely. So the one that you have already, is it already notarized and legalized?
No, it's not. I started
Oh,
this process probably about maybe a year and a half ago, and we're just now coming to the finalization of it. So, and that's it's really been a long time. So, but no, I actually wanted to. I haven't done any of that. Just to answer your question, no, I haven't. Nothing's been finalized yet.
okay. So when you say rewrite it yourself, are you saying that you want to create a new trust and use the same name? Or you
Ye-
just want to start from a blank canvas and start taking, important components from that trust and building your own trust?
Well, I want to actually comprise my own trust. For example, some of the things they may have put it like since I've been, listening on a call and since I've joined the class and things of that nature, that I've learned some, some things. I'm like, oh, okay, I could have done that. I could have done this. So now that I have this, I'm privy to this information, I kind of want to put it into what I already have. I do have the name of the trust already, but other than that, that's about the only thing that has, you know, materialized, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
as a
you
result.
can you can create your own trust. So that's what
Okay.
all of us in this call are doing. We're creating our own trust. I've
No,
provided
no,
you guys I've provided you guys with the templates, but you can start from scratch and you create your own trust. So you can add
uh,
whatever you want to your trust.
that the law firm already created for me. That's what I was talking about.
Right. If you want to add to it, you can.
Oh, okay then. I didn't know if it was some kind of proprietary thing or something. They didn't want me to, I was just wondering like, how would I be able to do that if I wanted to, once I actually see.
So do you have access to it, or are you just going to provide the information and they put it into the trust for you?
Well, I have provided information, and they were going to put it in the trust for me. But like I
Okay.
said, we had I guess a review date, and that was in November, but that hasn't come about yet. So, you know, I just said, well, I can just go ahead and just put in there, some of the things because I don't know. I understand it's like 50 pages, 51 pages. So I haven't seen everything. I don't know what's in there and what's not in there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, because they're doing it for you, just run it by them and let them know that you want to add provisions to your trust. Let them know what provisions that you want to put inside of your trust. If it's after the fact and they already, the trust is done, then you can make amendments to the trust to add the provisions that you feel are missing.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All
All right.
right, next we have AJ.
Greetings and salutations to everyone. Elise Johnson here. I just have a few questions. I know I don't want to be redundant because the young lady before said something, so let me get this in here about the BOI. So since we don't have to do anything with the BOI with the trust, if we already have an LLC, I have a dormant LLC. It's active because I paid my fees, so I'm not void of the BOI. But if I pull that into this trust, I can avoid that BOI.
No, that's not correct. So a
Okay.
trust doesn't have to file a BOI with FinCEN, an LLC does. So that dormant LLC has to file a BOI,
So even if it's under a trust, okay,
even
so
if
that,
it's owned by a trust.
okay,
It's
that's
still
what I
an
wanted.
LLC.
Okay, because when she asked that, I was like, well, wait a minute now. Okay, so the other question I had was regarding the a secured party creditor. So this is stemming from my sister, and I just thought about it because they had an issue with their trust that she had to liquidate some assets, and it didn't go well. And I guess the lawyer told her she should have applied for a secured party creditor to ensure that she had a perfected lien. I'm trying to read her text message, sorry. A perfected lien in order to make sure the assets were processed properly for the potential bankruptcy of a part of the trust. Is that something that we should look out for, making sure that we do perfect our liens, especially when we're dealing with mortgages and assets?
Definitely, if you're dealing with, if you're dealing with these creditors, absolutely.
Okay, okay. And that's not,
Because you have to understand that that loan was in your personal name and wasn't in the name of the trust.
okay, so now being a trustee doesn't automatically grant you secure party creditor. You still have to go through the process, the UCC process for your state in order to become a secured party creditor. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
That is my game. And thank you so much. I'm glad you're back safe and sound.
Thank you so much. All right, next we have Andres. And then we have two more. We have Shay, we have JW, and then we are gonna wrap it up for today, you guys. And we have a lot planned for tomorrow. So I'll give you those details in just a moment. Andres?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thanks. This is the second time I'm listening to this stuff, so I have some questions. One of them is I'm still yeah. If you have an S corp, can you move that into business trust? And would you transfer like corporate stock certificates into the name of the trust and then have the trust issue TCUs, or is that just not something you want to do?
Yeah, so with the S corp, the only issue is that with that type of entity, a trust can't own it 100%. So you still will have to have yourself on file as a shareholder. So a trust can't own a S corp or a C corp 100%. So usually we'll do like a 90-10.
Okay, so with that, then I think you answered in the previous question with regards to the LLC, but I'll just ask anyway. So then the S corp would still be required to file the BOI for the beneficial ownership of whoever. So it wouldn't be the trust; it would be whoever is the director. How does that? You're not going to skirt the CTA requirements, is that correct?
That is correct. Absolutely. Yeah, so it's required. So you have to understand, as long as that entity exists, it's required. So as long as you want to continue to operate that S corp, it's required. S corp, C corp, LLCs. So nonprofits and trusts don't have to do it, but S corps do, even if it's owned, even if a shareholder is the trust.
So by doing that, does that diminish sort of the privacy, putting in especially an S corp into a private irrevocable trust, or does it? I mean, it's 6-1. Does it matter? Does it diminish?
Yeah. So you are going to be disclosing information about the trust. So the trust gets to remain private, but meaning the contents of the trust, right? Remember, we did our trust today is 50 pages, right? So the contents of the trust are private, but now you're disclosing the name of the trust, the address of the trust. So you're disclosing the existence of it. Because right now, nobody knows that it exists. But once you go to do that BOI filing report, now they're gonna know the existence of it.
But the same would be true with an LLC too, right? That you're, because if you put an LLC in the trust, it's the same disclosure, or is there something different then?
That's correct. You are correct. So when you put the LLC into the business trust, you then do amendments with the Secretary of State, which now is going to be disclosing that a business trust, so name, address, you know, of this entity is now on the Secretary of State's website, which is a part of the public records to represent and show that this entity owns this entity.
Okay. All right. The other question I had was on these irrevocable trusts, can beneficiaries be removed or added?
Yes, yeah, at any time, the trustee can add or remove beneficiaries. So there's a certain criteria inside of the indenture on, you know, on that process.
Okay. So you can't just, the trustees probably can't do it without the, well, it depends on the other trust because it depends on which trust it's in, right? Because, or I don't know, will all the trusts have a board of trustees, or if you don't, I mean, can it just the two, like the primary or the first trustee, and if you have a co-trustee, can they do it, or would it involve the board of trustees as well?
So the trustee can do it. It doesn't have to involve the board, and all of the trusts do have a board.
I think that's it for me. The other question I had was setting up bank accounts. I know we haven't gotten into that much of that, but essentially they're going to ask who the grantor is, right? So if you have like a nominee grantor, do you give them that, or because the banks want to set up grantor trusts? That's been my experience. I don't know if they want the grantor and the trustee to be the same. And anytime you say you're not the grantor, then they're like, well, who's the grantor? What's social? So how would you work that?
So, it depends on the bank that you go to. Not all banks, take grantor information. But most banks do. And they do want name, address, and phone number. So with that being said, you do have to, notify the grantor of that information. They also want, trustee information. And if you don't have a grantor, then you have to provide a death certificate. If you're not the grantor and you're not going to provide grantor information, then they're going to ask you for a death certificate. So it's easier to give them the name. So it just depends on the relationship that you have with your grantor. And if it's not possible, then you have to find banks that will. So for example, Fidelity doesn't ask you. They don't ask you if you want to open up just a regular like cash management account. So it depends on the type of account, but for most checking accounts, they do.
Okay. What would be a cash management account? I'm not really familiar.
So it's not a checking account. It's just an account where you can hold cash and it has a debit card, and that's it.
Okay, so no check writing capabilities.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. That was my questions.
You're welcome. All
Can
right.
I ask a question before you move on away from his question? Because it was in regards to his stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna circle back a set. I just want to be respectful of Shay, and then I'll come right back to you, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Shay.
Oh, hi.
Um,
Sorry about that. I'm here. Okay. So, can you hear me?
yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay. So, I have a few businesses and um, sole proprietorship. Now, would I put the business insurance inside this trust?
The insurance policy?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're just gonna update the ownership information for the insurance policy so that it's owned by the business trust.
Okay. And then with my sole proprietorship, what do I do with that? Like, can it go anywhere in the trust?
Yeah, so the sole proprietor is an entity, and that entity can go inside of the business trust as well. So you'll treat it just like how you'll treat the LLC.
Okay, but can I use that as um one of the functioning entities inside the trust? Like I don't know, because it's only me. So instead of it just being me as trustee, like the sole proprietorship can go somewhere in there.
You can. So, any of the positions can be an entity, so you can have that entity be one of your positions.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That was it.
All right, perfect. Okay, we have a set, and then I'm gonna go with JW Lewis.
Thank you very kindly. Okay, so he asked about the grantor part, the grantor with the banks asking for that. Say, for instance, something went wrong with the whole establishment and some kind of loans they can went into default. Are they asking for the grantors because they want the grantors to be responsible, possibly responsible for something?
No, so they just want the grantor's information, but the grantor is not responsible. The trustee is responsible. So, for example, if even though they ask for the grantor's information, it's the nature of the beast, right? So it's not like the grantor can like walk up into the bank and actually like withdraw, $1,000 from the trust account. They have no control. So,
And then
and yeah, and they are not responsible. So who is responsible is the authorized signature or signatory, which is the fiduciary, which is the trustee. That's the person who's responsible for anything dealing with the trust.
okay, got it. And they're not going to ask for their social again.
Who? Who?
The banks. The banks.
So it depends on the bank, but the banks do want to know the grantor. They'll ask for their name, address, and social.
Okay.
It
And then
it depends on the bank. So usually you'll find that with bigger banks and with national banks, and with regional banks. Yeah.
they ask those guys. Okay.
Yep.
And the other one in regards to the BOI, so that you're saying that they want at least 90% of the trust being the beneficiary, so the other 10%, who is going to be placed as that beneficiary, the trustee or the beneficiaries?
So what we're talking about is shareholders in a corporation. So a corporation has 100% of shares, and 90% of those shares or majority will go to the trust, and the other 10% of those shares will go to the individual, which is you.
So how does
So
that pertain to
it has nothing to do with the BOI.
Well, how does that pertain to C Corp? Because they're asking for the beneficiary as well. So how do you,
So it's the same thing with the S Corp and the C Corp. It's the same thing. So you have to determine how you want to set it up.
but the person would still be the beneficiary. You will be the beneficiary,
So
although
yeah, because of the nature of that entity, it cannot be owned 100% by a trust.
I see.
That's
Okay.
because it's a corporation. An LLC can,
Fair enough. Okay.
yeah.
So just to clarify that, then would you, if you're only 10% owner, would you still disclose that as your 10% owner?
You don't have to because the BOI is for 25% and greater.
So then you just have the trust in there, right? But okay, so you get, that would be the beneficial owner is the trust.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
That makes
You're
sense.
welcome. All right, JW Lewis.
Can you hear me?
Wonderful, loud and clear.
Thank you. Just real quick, the grantor, does it matter if the grantor and the trustee have like the same family name? Is that like red flag or anything?
No, it doesn't. They can be
Sorry,
related. Can
name's
you hear me?
last name.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Go ahead,
Okay, I
sorry.
don't know if my internet is
Yes,
acting
I
up
can.
again.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I.
Yeah, so the grantor and the trustee, they can be related. They can be blood related. The trustee cannot be subordinate to the grantor. So there can't be a relationship in the realm of the grantor telling the trustee what to do. So you just have to be mindful of that.
Okay. Second question, can does it matter?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. It was breaking up.
Can all three trusts have the same domicile, that address?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they can.
Okay. And that would be it. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so we are all done, you guys. So with that being said, what I want to do is we're gonna wrap up day one of the Wealthy Trustee workshop, and I do have homework for you guys. So the homework is for you guys to get into the Facebook group, also get into the Telegram chat, and please introduce yourself to the community. So like I said, we have hundreds and hundreds of trustees in our community, and they want to know exactly who you are, what you got going on, what you're all about. So we are here to, network with like-minded individuals, and I highly empower you guys to go ahead and get into the Facebook community, get into the Telegram chat, and please introduce yourself. So my assistant Aika, she's going to be doing, because they're private communities and chats, she's going to be approving all of those requests today. And the second piece of homework is tomorrow we are going to go ahead and establish the family trust. So if you guys want to go inside of the online portal and review the recording from our last workshop so that you guys are familiar with what that whole workshop looks like and us reviewing the family trust, that would also be amazing. And then also work on the checklist that you guys received in the welcome email. So with that being said, we're going to meet here tomorrow on Zoom, same time, same place. So you're going to receive your email 1 hour before the actual workshop. And it's going to have the template and resources that you're going to need for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to focus on setting up our private family trust. So just be mindful of that. And the last thing is that this session is recorded. So we're going to go ahead and upload it to the online portal. So when you log in, you should see you should see two courses. So one says Wealthy Trustee Program, that's the actual course material. And then the other one says Workshop Recordings. That's where you're able to access the recordings. So you're going to go ahead and click on Workshop Recordings. And then on your left, you're going to have a bunch of options of all of the workshops we've ever done. You're gonna scroll all the way down to the bottom to where you're gonna see the date for today, December 2nd, and you'll see the workshop recording for today available there. So with that being said, everyone have a blessed and amazing evening, and I will see you tomorrow on Zoom,
Bye,
11
beautiful.
a.m. Standard Time. Thank you, guys.
You.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank